How's it going, everyone? Rachel West and Rick Stroud here with you to break down the Bucs rout over the Lions yesterday. Rick, they did it. The Bucs have finally made it back into the playoffs for the first time since 2007.
Yeah, and that's not to be overlooked. I mean, that is a huge thing, especially for this organization. We talked about it when you think about, 6 coaches and a couple of franchise quarterbacks. Had a chance, after the game to talk to guys like Levante David, who's been here 9 years, Will Golston, who's been here 8, and of course Mike Evans 7, and all those guys were emotional about finally getting to the postseason. You played a lot of good football, been through a lot, and you wanted to be able to taste that moment, and it'll be even sweeter for them when they actually are playing that game in a couple of weeks. But what Bruce Arians has done, bringing in Tom Brady, it's paid off, right? They gambled on some free agents. Gronkowski comes in here, Antonio Brown. All those guys made big plays on Saturday and all year long, and that's why they're here.
Right. So not only yesterday did they clinch their spot, but they did it in such an emphatic way with a couple of different record-setting performances. Just how impressive was the way that they played yesterday?
Well, I think it's just not just yesterday. The Lions weren't a very good team. We all know that. They had 5 coaches out, including their interim. They lost Matthew Stafford at the start of the game, but that was still an NFL team over there. And I think not just yesterday, but if you take the second half of the Atlanta game and the first half of yesterday's game where Brady and most of the starters played, I mean, what they've done is incredible. They've put up 65 points and 668 passing yards and 7 touchdowns. They've really kind of hit their stride. Now, again, you have to temper that with who they've played, but that's what's on the schedule right now. And it's a chance for them to build momentum going into the postseason. And I think defensively, they've been very solid, right? We've seen Devin White with about 4 sacks in the last 2 games. Their defensive secondary played better, even though they were without Carlton Davis. So I think on both sides of the ball, they're playing complementary. The thing that didn't go well was the special teams, and it's been great all year, but Ryan Suckup missed 3 kicks yesterday. That's uncharacteristic of him. They also allowed a punt return for a touchdown, but you'll take that in a game when you win 47-7.
Yeah, I think so. And aside from the kicking game that struggled a little bit yesterday, as you mentioned, they do seem to be hitting their stride right at the perfect time. So can they carry this momentum into the final week of the season next week and then eventually on into the playoffs?
Well, that's going to be the task. I mean, they've won 3 in a row. They have a chance to finish out, the last quarter of the season 4-0. They got to play Atlanta, which gave them a pretty good half of football anyway up there. So, they could be locked in, to that 5th wild card spot. They're probably going to need to win, which gives them motivation to win the game. Next Sunday, it's not one they can rest a ton of players. I know they want to get Mike Evans, his record, 7th 1,000-yard season, to start his career. So there's a lot on the table for them. And I think, they're going to end up playing probably the Washington Redskins or somebody from the NFC East. If they win, they get that spot. And that's a coveted spot, the 5th spot, if you are a wild card. I think they'd have a good chance against a team that can't be any better than 8-8. So these are all important things as you go into the postseason. And going on the road, they've been 6-2 this year. They've been very good on the road. This is the year. If you have to take the wild card route, you want to. There's no fans in the stadium, or very few. So I think they're positioned really well to make a run in the postseason.
Well, it's definitely an exciting time to be a Bucs fan, and I'm sure they'll bring out that same energy that they've had the last couple of weeks against Atlanta and again yesterday in Detroit. We'll see how they do. Everyone throughout the week, make sure you follow along with Rick for all your updates leading up to this final week of the season and the playoffs. But until then, be sure you're checking out tampabay.com for your full Bucs coverage.